Good morning, everyone. So today I'm with a good friend of mine. His name is Mike Karavolos, and he is the owner and the founder of a digital marketing agency called Lead Smith Digital Marketing. And Mike is an expert in paid advertising, search engine marketing. So, Mike, can you tell please how many years of experience do you have in paid digital marketing?
I would say somewhere around 10 plus. I mean, maybe 13. I don't know. It's hard to remember exactly, but I would say I started around 2010, around there. So about 10 years.
10 years.
Yeah, let's call it 10.
That's cool. That's awesome. If you've got lots of experience.
Yeah, lots of experience. 10 years is a lot, right?
Yeah.
Especially with digital marketing.
So tell me, please, how many clients have you already worked with over this?
Over the course of my life, many. I would say hundreds. Many hundreds.
Yeah, and your typical type of a client, like, have you worked with online stores or have you worked with? Mostly you worked with local businesses or big companies. Like, could you tell a little bit
I would
more?
say across the board. I started out doing affiliate sales for instructional DVDs.
Okay.
Jiu-jitsu instructional DVDs, and then I did some Kickstarter campaigns. So these are all like really early in the product life cycle, and then from there I went to small businesses, and I had during that time where I had kind of retainers with clients, I worked with a few larger businesses too, in the billion-dollar kind of revenue category. So anywhere from inventor with just an idea all the way up to billion-dollar companies. In between that is small retail businesses, small e-commerce businesses, startups. I did some time in SaaS.
Okay.
SaaS platforms. I did Techstars, so I spent like a summer doing Techstars with one of the companies that I was with. So I have that whole kind of startup experience as well,
Yeah.
which is a little different. But and then my industries are pretty wide. I go kind of. So I don't have a lot of agencies. They focus on a particular industry and maybe even a particular size of company. I would say my sweet spot is a particular size, but in terms of industries, I'm kind of across the board.
I see. Yeah, that's awesome. So, in your experience, like, have you worked a lot with the online stores? Let's say people who run their stores on Shopify or on WooCommerce or on any other e-commerce platforms.
Yeah, for sure. All of those platforms, I would say, had clients with Magento, had clients with Shopify, WooCommerce. So yeah, I definitely had that type of experience. I like those clients. I mean, I like to be able to connect my ad dollars with the results, and with e-commerce clients, it's generally pretty easy. It's pretty straightforward, right? Because the platform measures everything all the way through, exchange of revenue. So that's something that makes measurement easy, and
Okay.
for me, makes it pretty clear that what we're doing is working or it's not working.
Right, that makes sense. And so I have a few questions prepared here up front, and I would like to ask you these questions. So the first one is, you've done paid search for many years. How did the methods change? Maybe not necessarily for online stores, let's say in general, for all kinds of clients. Like, have you noticed maybe a drastic change or just a gradual change over years? Let's say, can you tell a little bit more?
Yeah. So I think the most drastic change is that it's become more competitive, right? So, used to be that people were searching for keywords and there wasn't a lot of advertisers that were competing. And so the cost per click was low, and people would convert. And as a result, the cost per acquired customer was also low. So I guess the biggest change is, first, that the level of competition for for keywords is much higher now.
Okay.
And so it puts pressure on the system, So sometimes the volume for, I don't know, AC service near me, for example, is largely flat. But the number of advertisers over the years who have realized that paid ads are an effective channel, and the number of people who have realized, because it's not just individual advertisers, right? Now you have Angie's List and Google
Right.
Leads, right? They're all kind of competing for this demand, which is largely flat. So it requires you to be way more efficient with the whole funnel, And so that's the biggest change that I think is obvious. So people kind of talk about. There's a lot of people that used to do paid ads 10 years ago, and it used to be so easy.
Yeah.
Now it's not. It's because it's just all the efficiency has been squeezed out of this, or all the fat has been squeezed out, and now you have to be super efficient. Especially when you have high demand keywords, right? Like in the legal space, right? Legal space, those clicks are like $150 a piece, right?
Yeah.
So you better make sure that the landing page is good. That if you get that lead, you follow up on it quickly. So, I think that's a big change. The other change is like, used to be, I think, that the effort was to become more specific. So it was like broad match keywords could capture a lot of stuff that was irrelevant, right?
Okay.
And so my job was to kind of eliminate the fat and find out the specific keywords that were working,
Right.
isolate them, and then spend more into them. Now it feels like there's so much more signal that happens behind the scenes, So, obviously 10 years ago, I can't remember, but I don't feel like the Chrome browser was as big 10 years ago as it was now, maybe.
Yeah.
So all this browser data is Google's using, and all this other data from their Android and for analytics on all these other websites, right? They're using all this now to drive their algorithm. And search was never as much an algorithmic game as Facebook was, right? Facebook has always been very algorithmically driven because it's display. But search was always kind of, still like, I'm telling you, I want this keyword, right? Now, the reality is that, Google has access to previous searches, right, that this person did. They have access to profiles for that person. And now they can adjust your bids and positioning according to their predicted response from that person, right?
Wow.
And so what that requires of the advertiser is to be a little bit more broad in what you do.
Okay.
Right.
Interesting.
So, because you may not, it may be that somebody was searching for AC guys, AC people near me before, right? But his next search was kind of how much do AC guys cost, right? So how much do AC guy cost might be kind of in isolation seen as higher funnel type of a keyword, right? But if you were to add in that other piece of information, which is he typed in a low funnel keyword prior to his previous search, now all of a sudden that guy looks more like as a low, like ready to convert. So they might bid higher on that. So if you don't structure the campaigns in a way that they can bid higher on that, then you might lose out on that opportunity when somebody else will pick it up. So I think it's releasing a little bit of control. Before it was a little bit more control, because the algorithm wasn't as good. Now the algorithm is much better. Let it do its thing. It's actually better than you are now, right? Because it has access to way more data than you do. And you can never really have access to that data, or it's very hard to get access to that data. I mean, there's ways to kind of adjust your bids and, maybe, but at the end of the day, what I find is the clients that I'm working with, it's hard to know, and we're not spending so much budget that we can be certain with our knowledge,
Yeah.
right? So we allow Google to kind of the freedom to be able to do these things, and we watch the results to make sure that the results are what we want, and that's a big difference. So I would say, and nowadays with some of their campaigns, they they're leveraging all their platforms. Used to be their platforms were very much kind of siloed, where it's like you want to do display ads, great.
Yeah.
You want to do YouTube ads, that's great.
Right.
Search ad. Now it's like Performance Max campaigns are across the board.
Right.
Yeah. So
And they collect the signals from all these
from
places,
all those places, right? So you did a search on YouTube,
Yeah.
and now you're doing a search that's relevant, right? So
Mm-hmm.
so it's that kind of stuff that it's just really more reliance on the algorithm, and I think
Okay.
that,
Okay, interesting. So another question that I have is, do you do paid search advertising in a different way when you work with online stores than when you work with other types of businesses?
Mm.
Like, is there any difference in the methods that you use? Is there any difference in, let's say, I don't know, like the keywords or the methods within the platforms, or the selection of the platforms you use? Let's say if you work with an online store, it might be, let's say, Facebook ads or Pinterest ads versus Google ads. And if you work with a local business, it may be a different selection of marketing mix. How does it work? Like, can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Well, in terms of search ads specifically, I would say obviously the search terms are different, right?
Yeah.
If you're trying to get a lead, there might be a higher emphasis on creating a lead magnet, right?
Mm-hmm.
With an e-commerce advertising, there's much lower emphasis on lead magnet creation, generally speaking, right?
Okay.
I would say so. So the funnel looks different, and the keywords are different, but they're different for every business. So I don't know if it's really a difference that's e-commerce versus lead gen related as much as it is business to this business versus that business. So but in terms of like how I approach e-commerce I think some differences are generally with lead gen. Driving people to a landing page is very more important.
Yeah.
Versus e-commerce, you can drive people. So it's really kind of sometimes better to drive people to the product page. Sometimes it's better to drive people to a sales page that you create specific for that product.
On e-commerce,
On
an
e-commerce, right?
online
Like,
store.
yeah, like I would sometimes. So sometimes when you find a product that does well,
Yeah.
you can increase the conversion rate of the landing page by creating a product page that is more of a sales page. It's like a whole website, like a one-page website that is dedicated to the product, which is different than the product page. A product page is like a little transactional, pretty much largely transactional, right? I think now they've got some nice templates that are a little bit more salesy on the product page, but for those product pages that are transactional, you can get a boost in conversion if you really are a little bit you break away from the template of the product page and make it more of a sales effort than a transactional product
Interesting.
effort. And then the other thing is that's the pinnacle, right? Sometimes the effort isn't worth it because there's maybe you don't have one flagship product, maybe there's a bunch of different products, right? So going through that effort can be expensive, and so maybe your products aren't differentiated. So there's a lot of like little elements that go into whether or not you want to create a sales page for an individual product.
Okay.
The other thing that so in the absence of that, you're sending people usually to the product page or to a category page, right? And the category page can sometimes outperform a product page, right? And so because when the product is it's nice, but maybe there's a bunch of different variations on the product that the category, the collection of the category page helps to like illustrate easily. So so I think that those types of things happen more frequently with e-commerce than with lead gen, I would say.
I see. In my work, I also prefer to focus more on product categories. Like I tell my viewers and subscribers and basically anyone I work with in e-commerce space, I tell them that it's important to focus on product category pages.
Yeah.
Let's say if you have limited resources, better allocate them to your category pages because the link equity and all the efforts, everything descends down to the individual product pages. So it's interesting that you mentioned that in your work, in your area, like it's important to focus on product category pages as well.
Yeah, it's definitely a testable. It's one of those testable items, right?
Yeah.
That it changes. It's different depending on your products and depending on how you've structured your product page, you know. But sometimes I see that category pages convert better in some as landing pages, and
Right.
sometimes I see that the actual product page itself works better.
So it depends, right?
It
Like,
depends. It's
what does it depend on? Can you pinpoint some factors in certain types of verticals, let's say, where product category pages would convert better than product pages? Like, have you found some dependencies or patterns?
maybe when you have products that are very similar with small variations,
Mhm.
maybe I would say that a category page might work better
Okay.
because you know a product page is giving you maybe one variation, but that variation is kind of interesting. But if they were to see 2 or 3 other variations, they might get inspired by those more. Right?
Okay.
They're close. Versus, I have handbags and then I have shoes. Right?
Mhm.
A category page that says and this also depends on how you structure your category page. Right? Because you could structure your category page so that the category is camouflage design, right? And you can have a camouflage bag and camouflage shoes,
Okay.
2 wildly different products. Or you could have a category page that's bags, right? And so you have the camo bag with the 1 strap and the camo bag with the 2 straps and the camo bag with the bag in the front. That category page would probably have a better, in my experience, has a better chance of converting than the category page that is camo bags or camo design, right, with the shoes and the bag and the bracelets or something like that. Wildly different products on the category. I think that if the products are very similar on the category page, I think that it's probably gonna the category page has a higher chance of converting better than the product page.
I see. That's interesting. So, and the most important thing is the knowledge that's inside your head or my head, and these people who just start their online stores and they just want to start making sales. They don't know where to start with. Like with Shopify, for example, it's easy to build your store and put it online. And then let's say they find some product, they put it on their website, but then they start struggling with how to get the first sales. So
Right.
let's say they put something on TikTok, or they try to maybe pay for the ads, or they think maybe they should do SEO, but SEO takes time. So there's always this confusion, like what to do, like how to get the first sales.
Right.
Could you please talk a little bit more about your opinion about this? Like, let's say if somebody who just started an online store approaches you and tells you, Mike, can you get me sales as fast as possible? Like, what would your advice be to them?
Well, I think so. I think about it. This comes from my Techstar days.
Okay.
It's about product market fit. Every founder, every business person, CEO has this reality distortion bubble around them, right? It's one of their superpowers, but it's also at the same time one of their weaknesses. So you need a reality distortion bubble to be able to take a product that nobody thinks is going to work and make it work. That is important because a lot of people can shrivel under the criticism of it's not a good product, or it's never going to work, or somebody else did it, or something like that.
Yeah.
You need that strength. And so, but at the same time, if you're too strong with that reality distortion bubble, then you bend reality to make you think that there's actually demand when there isn't demand, and nobody actually wants your product, right? And so we have to figure that out. And to me, that's like the most important thing from from my Kickstarter days, right? I was like, you know, I would always get discouraged when we couldn't make a Kickstarter campaign work, and I thought, geez, man, is this something I'm doing?
Yeah.
And in reality, it's just that people don't want that product. We had this device. It was, you clipped it onto a bowl, and it looked like a frog, and it had a long tongue. We called it the no-fly zone, and it would cover the dish, right? Nobody wanted it,
Ah.
especially for the price. And so no matter how hard you market it, you're just not going to get a good return. And so that's the first step. For me, the first step is to establish, product market fit. Establish that people want your product and they're willing to pay. And so, I think you can do that by, trying to sell units. Now you asked me, how do I get the first sale? Well, the first sale is going to be inefficient, right? So you have to be ready for that, I think.
What do you mean?
Well, I have 4 levels of success. I think of things as 4 levels of success. So level 1 is, can I move the needle at all?
Okay.
Right? Second is, can I move it consistently?
Mm-hmm.
Third is, can I move it efficiently? And fourth is, can I move it at scale efficiently, right? So here's an example. I spend $1,000 and I get 1 purchase.
Okay.
Can I move the needle? Well, I move the needle, right? Or maybe 2 purchases, right? I moved the needle, but I was inefficient and it wasn't consistent, right? Then the next question is, if I spend $2,000 or $1,000, can I move the needle? I get 1 a week. Or 1 every other day.
Yep.
Now I got consistency, right? But I don't have efficiency yet, right? Because depending on what,
Okay.
It's not efficient yet. My cost per every sale maybe doesn't match up with the revenue per sale. So not efficient. Now I'm working, and so the things that I do to try to get efficient versus the things that I do to try to move the needle are different, And so trying to move the needle, I'm a little bit more broad and I'm willing to spend more money, and I need to, and I'm looking at the funnel and trying to figure out, I'm problem solving, and so, so then how do I get my first sale? Well, I think first it's, do you know people want your product? How do you know people want your product, right? I always used to like to get people on a list. I think a little product launch, right, for the beginning of your product is actually valuable. And the way I would do this is to create a landing page and say, hey, you want this product? It's coming out. We're getting ready to launch it. There's going to be a limited number, right? And next 30 days, whatever the date is, we're going to launch it. Give me your email address, and when we launch it, you get 50% discount on the product, right? Some discount that you would never offer to somebody when you're selling the product, But
just to get them on the wait list.
Yes, yeah. Now you don't want to give them, like, sometimes people say, oh, get on the list and you could win an iPad. No, not that, because that's not relevant. People are going to get onto your list. They have no desire in your product, right? It has to be directly connected to your product. So you give them a deep discount and you give them a very low entry bar, right? So that signals to you that they have some level of interest in your product.
Okay.
Right? And now you have their email address, right? And that email address is valuable because, number one, it's the basis for targeting these days, right, with a lot of these platforms. So you get enough of those people, 200, 300 people, now you can, especially if you have a new product, right, different type of product, you can take that list, put it into Facebook or Google, get these lookalike audiences, right?
Okay.
And that can help you with your targeting. Second is you can message to those people over a longer period of time, right?
Right.
And you can give them a linear message, right, that can tell a story, right? And so that's important. And third, you can elicit feedback, right? So all those things are super important at the beginning of your product, at the beginning, where you don't know if people want your product, right? And you don't know because in the startup world where you're building a software platform, you don't know. always is. It's like 100% of the time, the product that you start with is not the product that you end with, right? So it's going to change. So the question is, how does my product need to change? You know, and so
it usually takes lots of pivots, right?
a lot of pivots, yeah.
Yeah.
And so, you know, why wouldn't that be the same with a physical product? It is, right? Why wouldn't that be the same with a business? It can be, right? And, you know, this is kind of assuming that you're creating some product, you know, because some businesses are very commoditized, right? Like AC providers, right? Everybody's the same type of AC provider, right? Everybody's the same type of. So those businesses maybe won't change. You might have to talk about them differently, but I guess my point is that in different industries, that can be more important or less important, you know? And so if you're in an industry or if you're building a product that is less commoditized, then you're going to then you need the feedback of people to be able to tell you if you're on the right track, right? And so that makes this whole process of launching a product more important, because you're going to have to, it's, you know, you're going to create an email sequence. Part of that email sequence needs to be, if you could improve look at this product. If you were to improve it in some way, how would you do it, right? And so they'll give you some kind of feedback, and then it helps you to kind of make it better. So, let
me ask you this.
Yeah.
Sorry for interrupting you. So you mentioned you create a landing page, right? And so let's say if the website is in Shopify, built on Shopify platform or WooCommerce or any other type of platform, what would you use to create? Like what tools the people should use to create these landing pages and connect them to Shopify? Like, does Shopify have the ways to build these landing pages to collect the emails and put people on wait list?
I might not start with Shopify. Shopify would be kind of a further down the line, right? So first, I would create I use Unbounce. It's a very easy tool for creating landing pages, and I would basically create a page that is like a sales page, but instead of allowing people to buy the product, you just allow people to give their email so that when the product goes live, you have a discount, right? And you can, you know, and then now they're on their email address. They're on your email list. So that's what I would do first. I would verify, because I have some historic data that's like, if I can convert that list at, 15, 20, if I can convert it at 20%, if I can go, that's good. If I can get the cost per lead to be about a tenth of the cost per acquisition, that's good, right? So, so I might be selling a product for 100. If I can get a lead for $1, and I get we're just tweaking these numbers a little bit. So, what's a good return? What's a good return on ad spend? 5x, 4x, even 3x is good. But let's say I can get a 3x return on ad spend. So if my product costs revenue, the sale price is $100, and I can buy a customer for $30, I'm happy, right? If I can convert my leads into customers at 10%, I'm happy. So that means my cost per lead has to be $3. So that means I'm driving ad spend to the landing page, and if I can get leads at $3, that's a green light. Looks like good so far. And then when I launch the product, can I convert those people on the email list at 10% into paying customers? That's a good sign, right? And if I can do all those things, now I'm ready to start thinking about my Shopify page. And
I see.
You know what I'm saying? So
so let me ask you this. So you've got this landing page. You've set it up. You connected your mail provider, email list provider. What do you use? Like, do you use Klaviyo? Do you use MailChimp?
They're all good. MailChimp, Klaviyo.
What do you recommend to use? Let's say for someone who just starting, they open their online store, they want to connect all these pieces together. So you mentioned you would recommend using Unbounce for
Unbounce is a landing page. I think MailChimp is good, but my recommendation is not strong on MailChimp. It's good. It's solid. But it's not like I love MailChimp. I mean, MailChimp is good, but it's Klaviyo is good too, and so is constant contact. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm not a huge kind of marketing email person, so I don't have a kind of a deep affinity for one email tool over another.
Yeah.
I've used them, and I think when it comes to e-commerce, Klaviyo is really good. It's better than Mailchimp actually because it has so much more integration into Shopify, and it can look at it can maybe Mailchimp could probably do some of this too, but Klaviyo has this whole SMS component to it.
Mm-hmm.
It's really more robust, I think.
Right. Interesting. So one more thing regarding this particular question before we move to the next one. So okay, so you set up your landing page. You integrated your email provider, your email list collection software. Now, how do you drive your first visitors to that landing page? Like you are a paid search guy, right? So do you use paid search methods, or would you use, like, let's say you want to get your first 100 emails on your email list through this landing page? What would be your first steps?
So what kind of a product is it? Just let's
say, I don't know, like dog food, for example.
Yeah.
Typical product.
Right. So I think that and my budget is small, right?
Yeah.
Like zero budget, let's say. So it would be very difficult for me to kind of come up with a budget for ad spend. So what I would do is I would basically create a couple of social channels, right? Like let's say Instagram or maybe Twitter or I don't know.
You would set
maybe
up
these social accounts, right?
Okay.
I would create those social accounts for the product,
okay.
Right? So Mike's dog food. My profile would have a picture. I would have, some description about my product. Mike's dog food's the best because it's super healthy for the dogs. Then I would go and I would find people talking about dog food, right?
How would you do that?
Like I would search up some hashtags, dog food, or
on these social networks.
Yeah, or I love dog. Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Like I love dogs. So people talking about their dog, right?
Right.
And then I would say, I would get into that as conversations, and I would basically, somebody's talking about, my dog, he's allergic to this. Well, you know what? Yeah, I see that's a big problem, but with dogs being allergic. Well, that's why we created this John Mike's dog food. Go check it out. Tell me what you think. Right.
So without the budget, you're saying that, if I understand you correctly, you would put lots of time as a resource into finding these first people to get on your wait list, so you would establish the communication with them, etc.
Right? Yeah, that's right. If I don't have budget, I have time. If I don't have time, I probably have budget. Hopefully I have budget. Yeah, right.
Okay. So so let's say you have budget. Let's say $100 or
$100 every day, or
let's say let's talk about $200. You have $200 to spend on paid ads and test how many people will sign up for the wait list, for the waiting list.
Yeah, $200 I would say is not enough, right?
Okay.
So it's
how much is enough
to test? I think probably more like $2,000.
$2,000.
Yeah. You need $2,000 because you need to kind of $30. Let's say for easy math, let's say $30 a day, and you need to kind of keep that up for at least 2 weeks, a week or 2 weeks
for the algorithms.
Yeah, to really to see what's happening. What's your click through rate look like? Because if you can't do that for 1 or 2 days, you don't have 1 week is like maybe one cycle, right? 2 weeks is kind of 2 cycles, right?
And are you talking about Facebook ads, or are you talking Google ads?
I would say both.
Anything,
right?
Yeah,
both, right?
Okay.
So I think that let's say, but I think that was $30 a day is a little bit more consistent in Facebook than it is in search, right? Because search, the cost of the keyword is so critical, right? Because you could be selling dog food, right? And I don't know what the dog food keywords look like, but healthy dog food might be like $10 a click or $20 a click. In which case, if you have a $30, or it could be $30 a click, right? In which case, if you have a $30 a day budget, you get 1 click a day. Right.
Makes sense.
Right.
Okay.
So that's not enough. You can't learn anything with that. It could be like your competitor sees that you're, who's this new guy? I click on it. You just wasted your budget, right? So,
right. So you said $2,000 at least. Can people
It depends, right? But generally speaking, maybe so on Facebook, $2,000 is a more consistent, predictable number.
Okay, so
On Google, it's a little different, right? Because you really have to look at, the cost per click, right? And you got to build out how much you need, because it's really about how many people do I need coming to the site, and so you need to have I would say probably more like 500 to 1,000 clicks to your site to really start to understand what's happening with my click-through rate. And then, depending on what your click-through rate is, you would need enough volume to figure out what is my conversion rate, right? Because if let's say you drive 1,000 clicks, and you get a 1%, and you get, so 1,000 clicks to the website, right? Then you have like a 1% click-through rate or 1% conversion rate. That means you have 10 people to convert. That's good. I mean, that's starting to give you some idea. Yeah, some idea,
what
right?
to do next. So speaking of the disruption that ChatGPT and AI making to marketing and search industry right now, how do you envision the future of paid search advertising?
That's a tough one. I mean, I think it's going to be more. I think you're going to have to feed. Think about what is ChatGPT able to do? You're a jiu-jitsu guy too, right? So I typed in the other day. I typed into ChatGPT, what is the best guard pass to pair with a knee slice?
Okay.
And ChatGPT gave me a good answer. You know what I mean?
I know exactly what you mean because I tried the same thing.
Did you?
Almost the same thing. Yeah.
That is complex. That is not an easy question to answer, right? So that means it's really understanding deeply what a knee slice guard pass is, and how you need to compare something, right? So that means in marketing, it's going to understand your product. It's going to understand a lot about your product, and so I think it's going to, I think maybe the idea is, I don't know how the search results page are going to change. I feel like, Bing seems to be making some big changes that are going to drive people into a chat interface and then provide. So I think that the search result page is going to change drastically. And I think that, but at the end of the day, ChatGPT still has to figure out who the best three options are, right? And so, SEO still is going to remain an important element, right? Because you always have to communicate to these algorithms, and understanding how they interpret data and so that they can position you properly is always going to be important. It may be harder to game the system, but at the end of the day, you just need to understand what it is that you're looking for. So I think, and then I think that, so what does that mean for paid search? It just means that the algorithm is going to have more control, and maybe there's going to be more of a requirement to really be clear about what your product is, and
let's say for the owner of a website, let's say you own a website and you sell dog food, or you sell some supplies, or just anything. Like, let's say you're selling pool supplies, some just anything, and you want to drive some paid traffic through the ads. Do you think that the introduction of this new technology, ChatGPT, will change the way how you should approach marketing to get leads? And let me explain. So what I think in SEO will happen is, because more people now use ChatGPT instead of just traditional Google search, I think that business owners should start making the content on their website more specific, and they should get into the customer's mind of what exactly they're trying to look for in ChatGPT. Like, when people engineer these prompts, they give more context, right? So speaking of paid search and online store owners, how is that going to reflect on the way people do paid search? I mean, people pay for the ads, or attract traffic to their websites. What do you think?
I don't know. I mean, I honestly, I just, it's hard because I'm just thinking, you know, the search, the experience of the search is going to change. The question is, how is Google going to monetize on that? How, you know, if they don't do a bunch of
Okay.
search results, maybe all the search results, right? So that maybe what's going to happen is going to be more, you know, you're going to, because look at the newest features inside of Google. You have less control, less control. Performance campaigns, very little control. All you do is you give it some ideas around ad copy, you give it some assets, and you know, you give it a little bit of guidance, right, around who you think might be working, and then it goes to town, right? And so I think it's going to be more of that, right? So you have to give the algorithm what it needs, and so there's going to be a higher weight on ad copy, maybe a higher weight on landing page.
What do you mean by that when you're saying more weight? Can you
I mean,
elaborate a little
more,
bit?
yes. I just more time spent, more of an importance on the business owner side to make sure that the ad copy is right, and that the landing page does a good job of, it's all about, are you going to be able to sell the person, right? Are you going do you have on that landing page, does the ad copy have the right things to say to get people to your site? Because you're relying on the algorithm, so you got to think about what does it have? What is the data that it has? It has ad copy, it has assets, it has your landing page, it has the copy that's on your landing page. So you got to make sure all those elements that it's using are good, and so that's historically, there's been more of an emphasis placed on the tactical use of the platform, less emphasis on tactical use of the platform, and more emphasis on the feeding it what it needs: ad copy, assets, landing page.
What about quality score? Do you think the quality score algorithms will change because of this?
Yeah, I think yes. I mean, I think that they'll be more focused. The quality score. I mean, right now the quality score is is looking at ad. It's the matching the keyword against against the ad copy, number one, right? And then it's comparing that ad copy against other other people bidding on those keywords and looking at the click through rate, and then it's looking at the landing page and it's making sure everything's aligned.
Yeah.
So how's that going to change? I don't know. It feels to me like, because there's less of a need to choose your keywords, that it's going to evolve. But I think what it's going to do, and what it seems to be doing in Performance Max campaigns, is it's saying, look, this is not a high performing ad copy. You probably want to change that one. And so it's gonna give you. It's really going to be more about diagnostic. It's like, how can I use the human, right? The human. So Google's like, I got this human. Like, thinking about a human as a cog or a robot, Google's like, I need the human to do something that I can't do. I need the human to give me something, some detailed knowledge about the product that I can't get with my algorithm, right? And so that's what you got to be. You got to play your role, right? And just give Google what they need to be able to find the right person. And what they need is, a reason why you're different, a reason why you're better than the competition, a reason why you're solving a problem in a new way that somebody isn't doing it. They need to understand that really well, and so that's what you got to feed them. So that's slightly different, than finding keywords.
So basically, what you're talking about, in my opinion, it's crafting a better value offering or value proposition against versus your competitors, versus what your competitors have, right? Like, you identify the need, what your customers are looking for, and you identify, or you try to identify, the prompts that they would be using in ChatGPT or in Google's algorithms or in Bing's algorithms, and then you try to adjust your copy, ad copy and ad title and creative to match the prompts, and they also should be aligned with one another. Like the creative, the ad copy, the title, everything should be aligned right?
Well, I mean, I think that it's alignment is important, right? In a way that what I find with the performance campaigns is that, it used to be the case that I would provide different types of creative, right? Um, in this case, and the creative could potentially, you know, go after different people slightly. I think when you provide asset groups and creative, they really have to be honed in on one person, right? So they have to be grouped together. Because if you don't want to give you remember, you want to fuel the algorithm with something that it's going after one thing, right? So it might be going after kids, or it might be going after people, and so you put all the assets together for that one person, so that it doesn't get this person and get that person, right? So, like with this campaign I'm going after somebody with a specific insurance, right? So I make sure that all the assets have that insurance called out. The ad copy, the landing page, all has that insurance, so that if it serves it to somebody who doesn't have that insurance, which is easy to make that mistake, it's likely not to convert, and so it's not to pollute my conversion data and get the algorithm going in the wrong direction. So it feels like grouping your assets together is very important too.
Makes sense. Makes total sense. Okay, so another question that I have is, what should be the ratio, like going forward, what should be the ratio of paid ads media that you're going to use? Let's say Facebook ads versus Google ads versus Pinterest ads versus TikTok ads. Let's say, again, like if somebody owns a store, do they have to stick to a particular type of an ad? Let's say you would recommend them to only use Facebook ads or Google ads, or should be like a mix, like 50% Facebook, 50% Google ads. And again, if we talk about different kinds of niches or verticals, let's say somebody who sells dog food versus somebody who's selling pool supplies, how does this mix how is gonna change going forward? Like right now and going forward, given the presence of ChatGPT?
Well, I think that in terms of the mix, I feels to me like it's very much dependent upon who's your target audience, right? I think that these days, it used to be Facebook and maybe Google was ubiquitous. I mean, Google is pretty ubiquitous in its search, but it used to be Facebook was more ubiquitous, right? Like basically everybody had a Facebook account. So you go to Facebook, and then you could go to Facebook, and then you could basically talk to everybody. Now I feel like Facebook is starting to become, more focused on certain types of people, and so I feel like the first step is who is my target customer, and where are they most likely to be, and so that could be YouTube, that could be TikTok, right? That could be Facebook or Instagram, and that's where you start, and I think that you grow in that channel as efficiency dictates, and then you expand out once you start to kind of when you start to see diminishing maybe efficiency, right, to a point where you're not comfortable, right? Because I mean, these channels are large, and if you're selling into the whole United States, usually you don't have to. You can use one channel potentially and grow into that channel to who knows, $1,000, $2,000 a day in ad spend, right? But or sometimes you're not sure which channel, you try to go for two, right? And then you look at efficiency. You can get equal efficiency in one or the other. Sometimes accounts work better with Facebook. Sometimes they work better with Google, and sometimes they're very close.
Yep.
And if they're close, I spend into both of them. I think it's important because sometimes there's not a lot of overlap between Google and Facebook and some of these other channels. So I think it really depends on the product and who you're targeting in terms of the mix. And then the other piece was what was the other question you had?
So given this marketing mix today and going forward with the addition of ChatGPT and the way people look for the information on the web and find your clients' products, will this marketing, will your selection of this marketing mix change or shift towards, let's say, more Facebook ads or more TikTok ads, or it won't impact this?
Well, I mean, I'm looking at the end of the day, I'm looking at efficiency. You know, what's my cost per customer, and what is my return? And if I'm not getting the return I need in a specific channel, I'm starting to look at other channels. You know, and then how is ChatGPT going to change that? You know, I don't, it's just the verdict is still out. It's hard to tell. I mean, what I seems to be is that people are just going to start asking ChatGPT, hey, what's a good product for this, right? And then, what is ChatGPT going to respond with? It's going to respond with like 3 or 4 options, and then so ChatGPT is kind of going to be maybe is going to take the position of of the search engine more, but each of these different companies. Meta, for example, is leveraging, and I was just reading today, Google has additional AI tools that it's going to be leveraging to its advertising package. So these guys they're trying to find people for you, right? So I think everybody is, they're trying to keep people on their platform, and they keep people on their platform by having engaging content, and then they make their money by finding people that are going to buy products of the advertisers, right? So you're, as a product owner, you're the beneficiary of all that work. It makes your life. It should make your life easier.
Yeah.
And so I think it's just going to be, where's people's attention, and then go there. And then the quicker you can get to where people's attentions are, maybe you can be early mover advantage, and then you're not paying as much for clicks, right? And so I guess that's the way I see it going down.
Okay, that's awesome. And are you using TikTok ads or Pinterest ads in your work?
A little bit of TikTok, a little bit of Pinterest, Quora. These channels are small.
Reddit ads?
Not haven't done any Reddit ads actually. Outbrain, if you're familiar. Yeah. I mean, they're good, but everybody's spending money on Google and Facebook for a reason. They're just efficient.
Yeah.
And they just know how to find people. And I think Facebook has kind of evolved into this place where people are used to buying stuff. They just buy.
Right.
They're in the buying mindset. Some of these tools are just, they haven't figured that out yet, how to get people into the buying mindset. And so these tools can be valuable, and it's just that my experience has been that it's really hard to be as efficient as Facebook and Google in terms of cost per acquisition, return on ad spend.
And the quality of the leads, right?
Yeah, quality of the leads are good. So, but that's not to say you can't be, Quora was really good. We had a couple of good, TikTok, mixed bag, so, I think that, but, I think they're on a case-by-case basis. You have to try it, you can't say generally. It's just, each product is different, and the way you execute is different. So, I think it's good to have those options. So, try them out.
Cool. Mike, thank you so much for the interview.
Yeah,
I think it's a great
pleasure.
information for anyone who is starting their online store or launching their business. I think you will be able to find some useful insights in this video.
Yes.
Thank you so much, and please like, subscribe, share with your friends if you like the content.
All right.
Bye.
Take care.